are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Larck. I'm on Twitter. It's on the latest Auburn athletics news. As you know, we got some good news to talk about in terms of Auburn basketball. As it has been announced that none of the guys are going to be transferring and going to stick with Steven this season, which is, excuse me, great news in regard. And again, I think that it's a good thing to talk about because of the fact that, it really implements the fact that, this team is not giving up on the process that Bruce built up. Steven's been here all throughout the entire Bruce Pearl tenure. So new coach Pearl in town, and he's maintaining the roster that he and BP built together this offseason. So massive news to start off with before we get into probably the lesser of the news here. So Auburn football, again, on a bye week. This past episode, we talked about what Auburn can do over this bye week to start working towards getting on the right track. And now, listen, I've had a couple of days now to kind of, sulk in it a little bit. But I do not think that Auburn is in a horrible, horrific place where the conversation of the hot seat, the hot seat deserves it. The conversation of letting him go midseason is ridiculous to me. So I look back. Again, it's not the fact that that Auburn fans are mad about Auburn losing these games. I think a lot of people did predict Auburn to lose these games. It's the manner of the losses. Again, Hugh Freeze is going to get a lot of the bulk of blame here, but I do think it is worth mentioning that sometimes the players are the ones that are not making the plays happen. So that's what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to talk about the 5 players that I think really need to start stepping up after the bye week. You got 2 weeks of practice to really get yourself back on the right track. And here's the 5 guys I think can really help send this team in the right direction. Again, 8-4 is where I have this team at, and you're already halfway there at the halfway point of the season. But the season, as it gets easier, but it really doesn't, because those hard games they're not away anymore. They're just home games that are going to be difficult. And again, that's Alabama, Missouri, Vandy, and Alabama. Those are your toughest games left on the season to help get you to that spot. And if you're trying to shoot for 8-4, you can only drop 2 of those and not find a way to drop the games that you should not be losing, which is Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mercer. So here's my top 5 guys. And again, I think top 5, there's really no particular order here. I think all of these guys should begin to step up and really show off why they were brought to the Plains. So, and you're going to find a theme in the majority of them. The 4 out of the 5 numbers I'm going to go over today are all offensive guys. So starting off with Preston Howard, again, a guy who was brought to the Plains to rekindle the magic that was there with Valdo Fairweather. Of course, Valdo had a great 2 years at Auburn and really implemented himself as one of the top pass-catching tight ends in recent memory for Auburn. Preston Howard was supposed to be that guy for Auburn this year. He's not been it. The missed catches, the missed blocks, the unable to adjust to the speed of the game in the SEC. That's got to be fixed. I don't know what you got to do about it, but you got to figure out what Preston Howard's role in this offense is going to be. Because as much as I like Brandon Frazier, I think he did make a lot of great catches late in the game against Texas A&M. But again, he's not the receiving threat that Preston Howard is supposed to be. If Preston Howard was supposed to be running those routes we saw Brandon Frazier run late in the game against Texas A&M. That tight end screen pass, I assure you, as much as people have been bashing Hugh Freeze's play calling these past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, past 3 years, there is no way that tight end screen was meant to go to Brendan Frazier. And I think the inabilities that we've been seeing out of Preston Howard caused that. And again, it's not a situation that Brendan Frazier should be put in every single week to where he has to become a level of a tight end that he is not. Again, he is the blocking tight end. So if Preston Howard cannot get that back, I mean, you got to start looking down the depth chart at guys who can catch the football and can make those plays happen. And again, all these guys, if something doesn't start changing, you got to find someone who can replace the production that you're losing by having this player out on the field. Now, kind of flip over to the defense side of the football for just a second. I think Jahquez Robinson, I really tried to make sure I could find one defensive guy to talk about. The front seven, I think, has been playing a very immaculate level of defense this season. That's why Auburn has done so well in stopping the run outside of Le'Veon Moss this past week. And, shockingly enough, I almost contemplated putting Keldrick Falk on here strictly because Keldrick has just been – he's not been bad, but he's definitely been underwhelming. But I think a lot of that is because, he's getting taken out of the play. There's a lot of holding calls that are going uncalled. There's a lot of double teams, and that's why Kieran Crawford's had such a great year. So I stopped myself from doing it. I tried to do a little clickbait action on y'all, but I stopped myself. Jahquez Robinson has been – for the most part, one of the starting safeties this season. And he's not been all that great when it comes to coverage. I mean, he's a decent tackler, but when it comes to coverage, he's just not there. And there's a lot of things that he's been missing out on. And there's quite a few DBs I probably could have put on this list going forward. I mean, Caleb Harris has been making some good tackles again, but I think coverage-wise, I could have put every safety back here. But again, I look at what Jahquez Robinson offers, and I look at guys like Anquan Fegans, who could definitely step into that role. And Anquan Fegans, I think right now is he's pretty high on the team in terms of tackles, if I'm not mistaken, especially for a true freshman. He and Eric Winters are both over Jahquez Robinson in tackles. But again, I think I've seen more Jahquez Robinson on the field than I have the other two. So, again, if Jahquez Robinson isn't getting it done, you got to look to that duo of DBs that have been so good this year for Auburn going forward. Up next on the list, go back to the offense, Perry Thompson. Perry, again, he's been a guy who hasn't gotten the same spotlight that you've seen out of Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons. I'd even say I think I've seen more of Bryce Kane on the field in terms of just going over overall plays than I've seen of Perry. And again, there's jury still out on what exactly the reason for that is, but Perry had an opportunity to make a play happen against Texas A&M, and the ball was dropped. So going into this week and going into the remainder of the season, Horatio Fields is still out. Someone has got to step up and play that role. And guess what? Cam Coleman is not Horatio Fields. You cannot have Cam Coleman running those routes. I think Perry Thompson works out very well for that. He's a big body receiver who you should be trusting to make those easy catches happen. And again, I think Perry does have a lot more potential and talent than Horatio does, but Horatio has the production level. Perry's got to reach that production level. He's got to make these catches count. He's got to make plays happen for himself. Because, look, the Auburn's wide receiver room is loaded. And, again, if Perry Thompson isn't cutting it, Bryce Kane to be put out there, it's Sam Turner time, you've got to find ways to get guys out on the field who are going to catch the football whenever, the offense needs it. So, yeah, I love Perry. I think Perry has a lot of talent. I think he could have easily been the second best receiver on this team this year. But something is off. And again, no telling of what that is, but I definitely think that Perry can be an all-timer for Auburn if he can start to step up in the right direction going forward. Now, number 2 is a tandem, and of course, 2 guys I talk about very often in a negative way. Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy. If you're going to consistently keep them in the game, you need to do something over these next 2 weeks and figure out what in the world is going on with these 2 guys. They are the majority combined. They're the majority of your false starts, and they're the majority of your given up sacks. Because good Lord, these two cannot keep guys out of Jackson Arnold's face or his back. It's ridiculous. So these two definitely need to step up going forward. And again, I think Auburn does have some guys, freshmen and up, who are also new to the team, and I think have a lot of leeway here. I think you should be looking at your other options if these two are not cutting it. So if Jake Thornton wants to stay employed at Auburn University, you have got to figure out what is wrong with these two. I mean, I think someone mentioned that Percy Lewis, who is not very good last year, is like one of Ole Miss's highest rated offensive linemen this year. Of course, I don't think he's played that many snaps, but again, he's not been as bad as he has looked whenever he played for Auburn last year. It's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing to sit here and look at these two offensive linemen that I have to tandemize together because neither one of these two are able to block, and I didn't want to spend a 2 and a 3 spot talking about these offensive linemen. They've been bad this year, and it's got to be fixed because I don't think I don't think the fans, I don't think the coaches, I don't think any of them can stand to sit there and watch Jackson Arnold get sacked over and over and over again and have little amount of time to make a play happen. And again, I'm talking about Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy. My number one is Jackson Arnold. I desperately think that Auburn can win games with Jackson Arnold. But if he consistently is holding on to the football and taking those sacks and holding on to the ball too long and missing a play happen because of it, you've got to think about looking in another direction. If he's unable to do that, these next 2 weeks for Auburn are paramount for the future of this program, for the future of this season, because you are losing games that you're supposed to lose, but you're making it look like it's a blowout. You're making it look like it's not competitive offensively. You're an offensive-minded head coach, yet your offense has consistently been the worst part of the team the past 3 years. It's got to be fixed. It's got to. And again, I think Jackson Arnold. Sorry if you keep seeing my mouth move. Where I have like a piece of food stuck in my teeth. I'm trying to get that out while talking. You have got to get something figured out with this quarterback situation, which is just Jackson Arnold right now. And I don't know if it needs to be like a simple benching for a second and letting Ashton Daniels cook for a little bit, but you got to get guys in the game who can make the plays happen when they matter the most. For the love of everything that's holy in this world, I do not think I can sit there and watch another Auburn football game where I sit there and count to 4, count to 5, count to 6, count to 7, and the ball is still in the quarterback's hands in the pocket. And then as soon as he steps up, it's either a sack, a terrible pass, or it's a holding penalty, because there's no way he got 7 seconds in that Auburn pocket and no one was holding the entire time. Jackson Arnold can be a very good quarterback for Auburn this season. And again, I don't think he's been a horrific quarterback. I mean, me sitting here and Auburn is 3-2, and I'm looking at the interceptions, and Auburn has 0 on the year. I mean, that's not a bad thing for me to sit here and say, but it's the lack of plays happening. I think Auburn is like in the bottom 30 of explosive plays. Auburn has 109th in passing offense. I mean, it's something that we were expecting to see more of. I mean, I even mentioned a few times where I thought Auburn was going to actually be more of a passing team this year because of everything I've been hearing from the coaches and everything I've been seeing of the team. You brought in a talented wide receiver room. You brought in this quarterback who was a former 5-star coming out of high school. You brought in this offensive line. This offensive line has been so very disappointing. And again, you point at the coach, but again, there are plays not being made on the field. So I'm making this video as more of a dichotomy from my last episode, talking about what can Hugh Freeze fix. Now looking at, again, these 5 guys who I think can be great, but they're in their own way. And I think Auburn is in a mixed bag place where it's always up for discussion about what Auburn is doing wrong, and it's rarely about what Auburn is doing well. Which, I mean, those conversations are being had, but it's like, well, Auburn runs the ball well, but why aren't they doing it? That's more of that conversation. So let me know something in the comment section below. Who needs to step up for the Auburn Tigers going forward? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. No pregame, or no pick'ems this week since Auburn's not playing, so I'm not going to give that school from across the state their own little. I'm not going to give them any flowers this week. I will say anchor down. For this week only. But before we get out of here, I do want to thank all of y'all who've been subscribing to the channel. We've gotten a whole lot of new people stepping in. 976 of y'all so far, so 24 more subscribers left before we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the College League Podcast. Of course, I'm Dylan Larck. I your boy Tank on Twitter. You find me on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, at DYLENLARCK. And of course, you can find me right in the College League Podcast, which a lot of y'all have been. Where you like the video, comment on the video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. But of course, we're going to go and get out of here. Everyone enjoy your free weekend, stress-free weekend, which I say that we're still going to be stressing if based on what we see from Georgia and Bama and Vanderbilt. But of course, with that being said, thanks for tuning into the installment of the College League Podcast yet again. And as always, War Eagle.